So in spring of 2012, I got a call from a developer in Texas called Stoic Studio that had just launched a Kickstarter for a game called the Banner Saga. And the idea with this game was a hybrid RPG turn-based strategy with an Oregon Trail-ish travel adventure mechanic that was mature and thoughtful and emotionally deep. But the thing that really sold me was Stoic themselves. These three guys, Alex, John, and Arnie. They had left well-paying, stable jobs at BioWare in order to go indie, to make their own game and put their own stamp out there in the industry. And the courage of that and the bravery of embracing the radically unknown was very inspiring to me. That was the kind of thing where I thought, I need to be involved with these guys. The next obvious draw for this game was the art. Arnie has really created something that just looks so unique and so beautiful. It's really stunning. And because it's grounded but not realistic, it gives permission for the music to really explore, to really become this big voice. This was a story where the characters are saying, the world looks like it's going to end, and our only ambition is to just hold on as long as we can. So there is a kind of hope within hopelessness that I found really appealing and something I wanted to tackle with the score. Let's just face this together, and if we die, we die together. I wrote a theme, and it seemed to feel right. I started thinking, what if it's a big orchestral score, but most of the time it's solemn and quiet in character? Then one day, I just randomly remembered an experience that I had had. I went to a performance at Carnegie Hall of John Corigliano's new Third Symphony called Circus Maximus. I was so overwhelmed by that experience. It really fundamentally changed me as a composer. And it made me realize the wind ensemble is a force to be reckoned with. It's an amazing palette. The orchestra, but without the strings. After something like a year and a half of writing the score, to walk into the Meyerson and take all that in and realize this is our home now, this is where we're going to record the Banner Saga, was unreal. It's still, to me, one of the best experiences I've ever had. Let's go back into the world of axe slinging and horned giants and all the other family value things. Part 4 begins us on bar 4 with a bit of percussion and aleatory, and I'll just run it. So, for bar 4, 2, 3, Banner Saga is a father-daughter story. We have Rook and Alette, who collectively are kind of our central heroes. I knew there had to be something to stand in stark opposition to the grandness of the score, and that's where the idea of, what if there was a single violin to draw us into the intimacy of this father-daughter story, and that's where the idea of collaborating with the spectacular Taylor Davis came from. So I reached out to her and said, what do you think about being kind of the featured soloist of the Banner Saga? And to my immense happiness, she said yes. A wonderful singer based in Monterrey, Mexico, named Malukah, had uploaded this cover of the Dragonborn Song from Skyrim. I heard Malukah sing, and I said, this is somebody that has to be part of the Banner Saga. And so I reached out to her, and she said, let's do it, let's do it. Around that same time, another phenomenal YouTube star, Peter Hollens, uploaded a cover of the Misty Mountain Dwarf song from The Hobbit that similarly blew me away. I just thought, this guy is incredible. Reached out to him. He also said, sure, sing in Icelandic, why not? Let's do it. So I had this trio of YouTube stars, Taylor Davis on violin, and then singers Peter Hollens and Malukah. There was one other element that I really wanted to try to find something interesting for, and that was these characters of the Dredge. The Dredge are these characters that nobody really knows anything about. I didn't love the idea of kind of a Dredge theme, so after thinking about it a lot, I came to the idea of what if it was a combination of heavily processed didgeridoo with prepared electric guitar. Well, I had recently become friends with a spectacular metal musician named Viking Jesus. This guy's named Mike Nemitz. And so I said, what do you think of the idea of doing some prepared electric guitar for me on the Banner Saga? And he just went nuts. He went to town. I said, bring me a giant toolkit of things that I could use. Then we decided, what if we went totally over the top and you literally sawed this thing in half as a sound? The sound of you literally cutting through this thing. And he did. Banner Saga 1 came out and was a success, and it really empowered us to move forward into the sequel as we had hoped and planned for. This was the first time I'd ever scored a sequel to my own work. I knew the themes needed to evolve. I knew the musical palette was going to stay largely the same, but I also thought, what can I do to push and expand and stretch this? It really should feel like the next chapter, the next phase of this story. An entirely new set of characters steps to the forefront of the Banner Saga 2. The Ravens, and particularly their amazing, crazy leader, Bulwark. So I decided, okay, I do want to introduce a new thematic idea. They see battle as almost a spiritual concept. They aren't mercenaries just because they have a talent for battle. They actually have a spiritual affinity for battle. The other thing was, what if they don't sing to the Godstones? What if they actually are offended by that idea? But in contrast, battle must begin with a kind of chant. Well, I stumbled across this amazing video of this Icelandic band called Árstíðir singing in a subway this ancient sounding, beautiful Icelandic hymn. So I reached out to them and said, what do you think of the idea of being the voice of these mercenary ravens and doing some kind of Icelandic chanting? And they were like, great. I had recently been enjoying this very fruitful collaboration with the Colorado Symphony. We sent all the strings home. Once again, Taylor was our only violin, and they just knocked it out of the park. The Colorado Symphony, which to my knowledge had never played as a wind ensemble before, absolutely just killed it. They were so wonderful, and the hall, Betcher Concert Hall in Denver, just sang. I mean, it just sounded so great. To see all of this come together was such a privilege. To work with this team, I never would have in a million years expected when I got this call from this tiny little developer in Texas that such an important experience was waiting for me on the other side of that. That's something that I would feel I could grow as a composer from, which would be a game I love playing, and with guys I love working with, and with musicians I feel such a privilege to collaborate with. The emotional magnitude of all that for me is something I could never have imagined, never have predicted. Stoic, I can't thank you guys enough for bringing me on this adventure. The emotional importance to me of these games and of working with these musicians and of working with you guys is something that I'm going to carry with me the rest of my life. And so, upwards and onwards to Banner Saga 3.